At 2:14 in the morning, the living room motion sensor tripped, and at 2:16, my 10-year-old son, still half asleep, pressed the panic button under his bed, just like we practiced, and by 2:19, the police had Patricia Garrison in handcuffs, tangled in my blackout curtains, shrieking about emergency code compliance inspections. She had crawled in through the unlocked window above the laundry room, claiming with complete seriousness that she had a hunch about unsanctioned LED bulbs. My name is David Mercer, a widower working in IT support for a regional bank. I do not host barbecues, do not gossip at mailboxes, and do not mow the lawn every 3 days, like the Maple Ridge HOA handbook. Passive-aggressively suggests my house is quiet and private. My 10-year-old son Jake and I keep to ourselves, which apparently made us prime targets for Patricia Garrison, the self-declared property aesthetics coordinator of Maple Ridge, who decided that my family and our porch light were somehow a threat to community values. It began with notices slipped under my door at all hours. First came a warning about a non-compliant decorative gnome, which was actually a leftover Halloween skull I had forgotten to put away. Then came a $75 fine for unsanctioned solar pathway lighting, which had been there when I bought the house 5 years ago, but Patricia insisted they violated subsection 12.4 of the lighting ordinance she had personally written. Last month, she once rang my doorbell at 6:42 on a Saturday morning to scold me about what she called seasonally ambiguous wreaths. The wreath in question was a simple eucalyptus circle my late wife had made years ago. Another time she tried to enter my backyard, claiming she needed to measure the grass blades for compliance, and when I told her to leave, she huffed dramatically and said she would be back with proper documentation. See. He was often spotted crouched behind her hibiscus bushes, with binoculars and a clipboard, whispering frantically into a walkie-talkie. She insisted was directly connected to code enforcement, though the code enforcement office later confirmed they had never heard of her and had certainly not given her any communication device. Then came the late-night incidents that made me genuinely concerned. My trash cans would mysteriously end up knocked over every Tuesday night, spilling garbage across my driveway. My security camera cable was cut clean through with what looked like garden shears, and that is when I decided to upgrade the entire system, installing silent alarms on every entry point, infrared cameras with cloud backup, and most importantly, kid-level panic buttons in Jake's room in the hallway. I taught Jake exactly what to do if anyone ever entered our house uninvited: press the button, lock the bedroom door, and hide in the closet. We practiced twice a week until it became second nature. Patricia's behavior escalated after I refused to attend her mandatory neighborhood beautification seminar. She started showing up at odd hours, measuring my mailbox height at 11 at night, photographing my garbage bins from multiple angles at dawn, and even following Jake home from the bus stop one afternoon, claiming she needed to inspect his backpack for contraband gum. That was when I filed my first police report. Though they said there was not much they could do unless she actually trespassed on my property, the night everything changed. Started like any other. I put Jake to bed at 9:30, checked all the locks twice, and settled in to finish some work emails around midnight. I heard Patricia's distinctive voice from next door, arguing with someone on her phone about the criminal lack of HOA enforcement in our neighborhood, and I should have known she was working herself up to something by 2 in the taas. Morning, I was sound asleep, completely unaware that Patricia had decided she could not rest, knowing I might be using a non-HOA approved brand of laundry detergent, which she later mentioned to the police. She approached my house wearing all black, which she claimed was standard inspection attire, carrying a flashlight, a laminated HOA rule book, and a digital camera to document what she called inevitable violations. She tried the front door first, then each window along the side of the house, until she reached the laundry room window, which I had foolishly left unlocked after airing out the room earlier, and that became her entry point. She slid through like some kind of suburban raccoon on a mission, knocking over a bottle of fabric softener in the process. The motion sensor in the living room detected her immediately, sending an alert to my phone. But before I could even process what was happening, Jake had already reacted. My brave little guy had been on high alert ever since the backpack incident, and the moment he heard the subtle beep of the motion sensor, which I had programmed to make a specific sound, he pressed that panic button without hesitation. The silent alarm immediately notified the police with our predetermined emergency code for home invasion. I rushed to Jake's room to make sure he was safe and locked in and through his door. I told him in a calm voice that he did exactly right and to stay put. Then I grabbed my phone to watch the security footage in real time, where Patricia was creeping through my living room with her flashlight, actually taking photos of my coffee table magazines and muttering about unapproved reading materials. She made her way to the kitchen where she opened my refrigerator and began photographing the contents while making exaggerated, disgusted sounds about my choice of non-organic milk. The police arrived in exactly 4 minutes and 12 seconds. Entering through the front door, I had quickly unlocked for them, weapons raised, shouting for the intruder to reveal themselves. Patricia, startled by their sudden arrival, tried to hide behind and my curtains, but became tangled in the blackout fabric. As the officers pulled her free, she shrieked in a high-pitched tone that this was an emergency code compliance inspection and that she had every right to be there. She waved her laminated rulebook like it was a federal warrant. Once the police realized she was not a typical burglar, but an HOA board member playing bargain store secret agent, they called in a supervisor and began taking detailed statements. Patricia insisted she had implied consent to enter any property within the HOA jurisdiction for inspection purposes. The senior officer patiently explained that HOA rules do not override criminal law, and breaking and entering is still a felony, no matter what. Her little rulebook claimed, she argued with a voice growing more desperate, that she was protecting property values and maintaining neighborhood standards. The investigation revealed Patricia had done the same thing to 3 other families in the neighborhood. The Johnson family had reported strange footprints in their garden and missing pictures from their porch. The Thewen family had found their shed door opened multiple times. The elderly Mr. Crawford had actually caught her in his garage, but thought he imagined it due to his medication. None of them had cameras to prove it, but they all came forward once news of Patricia's arrest spread through the neighborhood chat group. I had everything on clear cloud-backed high-definition video. The footage showed her checking windows, entering through the laundry room, moving through my home, and photographing what she called evidence of non-compliance. My lawyer, who I hired the next morning, said it was the most complete documentation of breaking and entering he had ever seen. He even laughed when he watched the part where she got tangled in the curtains. The media picked up the story within 48 hours, and footage of Patricia crawling through my window aired on the local news under the headline, HOA president or unhinged trespasser. The clip of her shouting, "This is my jurisdiction," while wrapped in my curtains went viral. Someone turned it into a TikTok sound that reached millions of uses in the first week. Patricia's mugshot with her hair, now a bird nest from the curtain struggle, became a meme for entitled people getting what they deserved. The HOA board held an emergency meeting 2 days after the arrest, and more than 200 residents attended, most demanding Patricia's removal and the elimination of her 23-page amendment to the neighborhood guidelines. The vote was unanimous, except for Patricia's husband, who abstained while staring at the floor. The HOA dissolved that same night, with residents agreeing never to form it again. Property values even rose when buyers learned there was no HOA to deal with. Patricia's legal troubles were just starting. She faced charges of breaking and entering, criminal trespassing, unlawful surveillance, and endangerment of a minor. Since Jake was in the house during the intrusion, her lawyer argued, diminished capacity from obsession with neighborhood standards, but the judge did not accept it. The evidence from multiple angles, the proof of past unauthorized entries, and her total lack of remorse sealed her fate. The trial lasted 3 days. Patricia took the stand and gave a long, rambling speech about aesthetic standards, claiming she was a hero protecting the neighborhood from chaos. She compared herself to watch volunteers and insisted she was punished for caring too much. The prosecutor played the video of her photographing my fridge at 2:15 in the morning and rested the case. Jake testified via closed circuit, calmly describing how scared he was when the motion sensor went off, how he pressed the panic button just like we practiced, and how he hid in the closet until I told him it was safe. Several jury members frowned when Jake mentioned he had nightmares ever since she followed him from the bus stop. The jury deliberated for less than 2 hours and found Patricia guilty on all counts. The judge noted her lack of accountability and the trauma to multiple families, especially the fear she caused in a young child. He sentenced her to 18 months in prison, 3 years probation, and ordered her to pay $15,000 restitution. Patricia's jaw dropped as the sentence was read. She told her lawyer loudly that this could not be happening because she had a neighborhood standards meeting next week. The judge also issued a lifetime ban on her holding any role in any HOA or similar group in the state and barred her from coming within 500 feet of my home or Jake's school. When the ban was read, she gasped and grabbed the table for balance, her face turning the exact red of the non-compliant roses she once tried to fine the Johnson family for planting.